have about a month and a half left of 2025, but it's never too early to talk about our ins and outs for the new year. My number one in for 2026 is for all of us to just smile and be ourselves. And my number one out for 2026 is having a boyfriend. Like, girly pop, what are you doing? You have a boyfriend. In this economy? In this political climate? In front of my salad? How embarrassing. That is, if you're asking British Vogue. Hello, sinners. On October 25th, journalist Shantae Joseph took the internet by storm with her article titled, "Is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing Now?" Specifically, is it embarrassing for a woman to have a boyfriend now?
For British Vogue, I wrote, "This piece is having a boyfriend embarrassing now." I know people have read the headline, they're like, nah, nah, nah. But listen, for this piece, I interviewed a bunch of women. I spoke to them about why they hide their partners on social media or they like post very inconspicuously about them.
So to all the gay men watching, you're safe. For now. But just you wait, gentlemen. Joseph's opinion piece has struck a chord with many women online, and overall, she received a positive response. Yet, an article with such a divisive title is obviously going to get a little backlash too. Some have claimed the whole thing is rage bait, while others have called it a very chronically online argument. You may have a point there. You could argue that everything I talk about on here is a chronically online argument. However, I can't say I'm surprised at how many women have rallied behind this article. I think it reflects a broader cultural shift in recent years where more and more women are making a conscious effort to decenter men, and we love that. Regardless, it seems like everyone's got something to say on this topic, and I think it's time we bring in an expert. Because who better to weigh in on having a boyfriend than a lesbian? Many are saying this.
Put me in, coach.
I'll link the article down below in case you want to follow along or read it on your own time. And I'll link Shantae Joseph's TikTok down there as well. That being said, let's decide if having a boyfriend is actually embarrassing. Immediately, when I saw the title of this article without any context, I thought it was kind of giving like those straight girls who are like, ugh, I wish I was gay. Women are so much easier. Which, first of all, no, they're not. I could tell you that right now. Initially, I also thought this title was kind of giving a specific archetype of bisexual women. Put the pitchforks down and let me explain, all right? We're not going to be biphobic around here. Let me explain, because that sounded really bad. I've noticed there's a certain genre of bisexual women, a small subsection of bisexual women that talk about how much they love women and hate their boyfriends. You know the type. They're the ones that are like, ugh, women are so pretty. I wish I can kiss all of them, but too bad I'm dating my ugly, stinky loser boyfriend. And this pisses me off for two reasons. Number one, that's not a nice way to talk about your partner, even if it is a joke. And another reason why this pisses me off is because they're making me side with a man. Anyway, I've yapped long enough. This is gonna be a very yappy video, okay? Just call me Yappy McGee. Welcome to Yap City, population us. So let's actually get into the article, shall we? If someone so much as says my boyfriend on social media, they're muted. Okay, low-key me with pregnancy announcements. Kidding. There's nothing I hate more than following someone for fun, only for their content become quote-unquote my boyfriendified suddenly. This is probably because for so long, it felt like we were living in what one of my favorite substackers calls boyfriend land. A world where women's online identities centered around their partners, a situation rarely seen reversed. Women were rewarded for their ability to find and keep a man with elevated social status and praise. It even became more suffocating when this could be leveraged on social media for engagement and, if you were serious enough, financial gain. I will say I have noticed there is an imbalance of men showing off their girlfriends the way that women show off their boyfriends. Like, women will post content praising their boyfriend for doing really the bare minimum. And I find that a lot of this content is something along the lines of, when my boyfriend came home, he cooked us dinner, and then he took out the trash. And afterwards, he made me tea, and we watched a movie together. But you never see men showing off their girlfriends or wives like that. Because for a lot of people, going above and beyond is expected for a woman. But when a man goes above and beyond, he's like the exception. I mean, there's a reason why people say an above average man is just a mediocre lesbian. However, more recently, there's been a pronounced shift in the way people showcase their relationships online. Far from fully hard hard launching romantic partners, straight women are opting for subtler signs: a hand on a steering wheel, clinking glasses at dinner, or the back of someone's head. On the more confusing end, you have faces blurred out of wedding pictures or entire professionally edited videos with the fiance conveniently cropped out of all shots. See, if you're going through that much effort to hide your partner's face, just don't post them. That seems like a lot of effort to create a bit of mystery and intrigue. It's like when you're in middle school and one of your Snapchat friends posts a picture of a hospital bracelet on their story, and the caption's like, "Not feeling good, don't ask." I don't know, that's just like weird to me. Anyway, women are obscuring their partner's face when they post, as if they want to erase the fact they exist without actually not posting them. So what gives? Are people embarrassed of their boyfriends now, or is something more complicated going on? To me, it feels like the result of women wanting to straddle two worlds. One where they can receive the social benefits of having a partner, but also not appear so boyfriend obsessed that they come across quite culturally loserish. A lot of it also has to do with the culture around oversharing and why oversharing really isn't in anymore. I mean, we all know that meme of that one news article that's like, we should know less about each other. They want the prize and celebration of partnership, but understand the norminess of it, says Zoe Samudzi, writer and activist. In other words, in an era of widespread heterofatalism, women don't want to be seen as being all about their man, but they also want the clout that comes with being partnered up. While yes, that is true because since the beginning of time, women are taught to base their worth on how much a man wants them. However, I would also argue that it is actually detrimental for a woman to go public with her male partner. And what I'm specifically referring to is female Twitch streamers who feel that they can't go public with their male partners because they'll lose a lot of their audience. Because for some female Twitch streamers, their demographic is mostly, if not all, men, and in order to maintain that parasocial relationship, they need to seem attainable to said men. However, in my opinion, men showing off their girlfriend or wife on social media actually helps them in most cases. Like, they don't face the same repercussions that women in certain parts of the internet face. For men, a lot of the time, showing off their female partners makes them seem more valuable and desirable as a man. Sinners, as we get deeper in the trenches of cold and flu season, it is more important than ever to prioritize our physical health. And one way to do that is by going to the doctor. I've been meaning to make a doctor's appointments for months, but I've been pushing it off for the longest time for whatever reason. However, today's sponsor, ZocDoc, makes it so easy to find the right doctor right now. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors to instantly book an appointment. From mental health to dental health, primary care to urgent care, and so much more. You can book in-network appointments with over 100,000 doctors across every specialty. And appointments scheduled through ZocDoc happen fast, typically within 24 to 72 hours. And you can even get same-day appointments. I cannot recommend ZocDoc enough. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments, because I know you are. And go to ZocDoc.com/Annamarie to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/Annamarie. ZocDoc.com/Annamarie. Thank you so much to ZocDoc for supporting the channel. And now let's get back to your scheduled programming. I really hope the timing was good on But it's not all about image. When I did a call out on Instagram to my 65,000 followers, plenty of women told me that they were in fact superstitious. Some feared the quote-unquote evil eye, a belief that their happy relationships would spark a jealousy so strong in other people that it could end the relationship, or the malocchia, as my Italian mother would call it. Others were concerned about their relationship ending and then being stuck with the post. I was in a relationship for 12 years and never once posted him or talked about him online. We broke up recently and I don't think I will ever post a man, says Nikki, 38. Even though I am a romantic, I still feel like men will embarrass you even 12 years in, so claiming them feels so lame. I mean, to be fair, men will embarrass you on and offline. So it's like kind of being open and upfront about a goal you're trying to achieve that you haven't done yet, like getting a job promotion, training for a marathon, or what have you. And then when it doesn't happen, the disappointment on your end feels more intense because you have more eyes on you. That's also what I think it's like posting your relationship online, whether you're a content creator or not. But there was an overwhelming sense from single and partnered women alike that, regardless of the relationship, being with a man was an almost guilty thing to do. On the delusion Delusional Diaries podcast, fronted by two New York-based influencers, Hallie and Jazz, they discuss whether having a boyfriend is quote-unquote lame now. Why does having a boyfriend feel Republican? Read a top comment with 12,000 likes. That kind of reminds me of a different comment I saw under a different video where a woman said that having a boyfriend feels culturally Israeli. I'm not gonna lie, it made me giggle. Even partnered women will lament men and heterosexuality, partly in solidarity with other women, but also because it is now fundamentally uncool to be a boyfriend girl. See, this goes to show that sexuality is not a choice. Because why would straight women continue to date men and only men? I get what the author means though, like being a male-centered woman, feeling like you need a boyfriend in order to be happy and to feel self-worth is embarrassing. It's sad, honestly. In general, for anyone watching, you don't need a partner to fulfill you. But again, women have been taught that their value is reliant on whether men desire them and whether a man makes them a wife and a mother. But I don't think she's saying that wanting a relationship in general is bad. You know? Humans are social creatures. Most people want that kind of intimacy and companionship with another person. And by boyfriend girl, I assume the author is talking about those women who feel the need to invite their boyfriends to girls' nights, or they can't go to a function without their boyfriend. You know, the types of women who dump their friend groups as soon as they get a man and then immediately run back to them as soon as their boyfriend dumps them. I've seen this happen, like in queer circles. I think anyone is susceptible to making their partner their entire world, especially in the beginning. You're in the honeymoon phase. You're excited. You want to be around each other all the time. That's great, but it's important for everyone to maintain a sense of independence and individuality when dating someone, especially in the honeymoon phase. As a lover girl myself, I can definitely get caught up in my feelings. I get lost in the sauce. And again, not saying queer people don't do this, but it happens often enough among straight women that it's almost become a stereotype. It's like kind of a meme on social media. Like I've seen so many skits on TikTok and Instagram making fun of the quote-unquote boyfriend girl. And I think a lot of this new attitude towards dating men has to do with more and more women intentionally decentering men. Like one of the worst things you can call a woman that's not a slur or a curse word is a pick-me. It's cringe to seek validation from men. And I'm not trying to make fun of the women who seek male validation. That is literally how we were socialized. It's more just like, girls, stand up. You know? And I believe this has motivated more and more women to value their personal growth and female friendships instead. Unironically, though, I think the Barbie movie from 2023 had a lot to do with it. I mean, she's Barbie and he's literally Ken. He's literally just a guy. And on the men's side of things, I think a lot of them are angry at women not prioritizing them anymore like they used to. They've realized that women have realized that they can date men because they want to and not because they have to. Not to bring up Barbie again, but there's that one quote that's like, Ken only has a good day if Barbie looks at him. I feel like that's what we're experiencing with men. That's a whole other can of worms to open on a different day. But all of it is linked together. It's not just in these women's imaginations. Audiences are icked out by seeing too much boyfriend content, myself included, it seems. Hot take? Couples content has always been a little weird to me. Even queer couples content to a certain degree. I feel like the more you publicize your relationship, the more doomed it is. And I'm of the belief that the more you post your partner, the more trouble there is in paradise. If you ever see a man post a photo dump of his girlfriend with a long-ass Instagram caption, you know he pissed her off somehow. He was up to some bull. When author and Vogue contributor Stephanie Yeboah hard-launched her boyfriend on social media, she lost hundreds of followers. Even if we were still together, I wouldn't post them here. There's something cringy and embarrassing about constantly posting your partner these days, she tells me, adding that there's part of me that would also feel guilty for sharing my partner constantly, especially when we know the dating landscape is really shit at the moment. I wouldn't want to be boastful. Sophie Milner, a content creator, also experienced people unfollowing her when she shared a romantic relationship. This summer, a boy took me to Sicily. I posted about it on my subscribers section and people replied saying things like, please don't get a boyfriend. She admits that her content perhaps becomes less exciting when she's in a relationship. Being single gives you this ultimate freedom to say and do what you want. It is absolutely not every woman, but I do notice that we can become more beige and watered down online when in a relationship. myself included. Again, women are taught that we need to live for male validation. What are we without a man? When a straight woman enters a relationship with a man, she's no longer thought of as her own individual person. She's now that man's girlfriend, fiance, wife, what have you. And then when they have kids, eventually, she is now a mother. Not that those can't be important facets of a woman's identity, but that becomes her whole identity. And you never see that happen with fathers. Like, I feel like men are allowed to maintain their identity, explore their interests, be their own person when they're married. Meanwhile, women aren't afforded the same opportunity, the same privilege. This also most likely has a lot to do with the fact that women are expected to take on the majority of emotional and domestic labor. From my conversations, one thing is certain: the script is shifting. Being partnered doesn't affirm your womanhood anymore. It is no longer considered an achievement, and if anything, it's become more of a flex to pronounce yourself single. As straight women, we're confronting something that every other sexuality has had to contend with: a politicization of our identity. Heterosexuality has long been purposefully indefinable, so it is harder for those within it and outside of it to critique. However, as our traditional roles begin to crumble, maybe we're forced to reevaluate our blind allegiance to heterosexuality. I mean, if you think about it, literally every sexuality is politicized. Like with homosexuality, queerness, for the longest time, and even to this day, same-sex marriage is illegal in a lot of countries. They're trying to take away gender-affirming care in the United States. You can't even transition in a lot of other countries. Meanwhile, it's never been illegal to be straight. It's never been illegal for a man to marry a woman. We're all raised under the assumption that we will fall in love with someone of the opposite gender. That is our destiny. We're supposed to fall in love, get married, have babies, and up until recent history, women have had to rely on men. Women were sold off like they were property by fathers to their new husband. We couldn't even have our own bank accounts until the 1970s. Straight women are finally waking up. They have grown disenchanted at the idea of the nuclear family. I feel like people have romanticized the nuclear family way too much. Women no longer want to be a man's wife. They want to be their own person. Not that settling down, getting married, and having children isn't a bad thing, but we have the choice to do that now. And we also have the choice to go to school, to work, to travel, to pursue our dreams. And all of that is valid and okay. However, it seems like now there's more of a push for traditional relationships than ever. There's a lot of trad wife content online that, again, romanticizes the good old days. But I think the trad wife content is in response to the rise of red pill ideology online and seeing men go mask off and basically admitting that all they want is a bang maid that they can control has put off a lot of women from dating men. I am of the firm belief that you should never be 100% financially tethered to a partner, no matter what gender you are. I think it's a bad idea purely for safety reasons. I think it makes sense when you're married to have joint finances to a certain degree, like having a joint bank account for housing, for childcare, for bills, an emergency fund. But I also believe that both people in a relationship should have their own individual bank accounts they have 100% autonomy over. And a lot of men want to go back to the days when women were financially reliant on men because they don't feel needed anymore. These red pill men, I don't want to generalize all men, but this specific type of man, they want the traditional wife, they want the nuclear family, but they don't want to fill their traditional role. They don't want to be the provider. All of them want to go 50-50 financially, but they're not going 50-50 on the childcare. They're not going 50-50 on the domestic and emotional labor. So why would a woman want to show off her man when a lot of the time they're receiving the short end of the stick in relationships? And again, this is not all heterosexual relationships. There are a lot of good men who treat their partners out there with the respect and dignity and kindness they deserve. But at the same time, we have to address the imbalance in a lot of heterosexual relationships. Obviously, there's no shame in falling in love, but there's also no shame in trying and failing to find it, or not trying at all. And as long as we're openly rethinking and criticizing heteronormativity, quote unquote, having a boyfriend will remain a somewhat fragile or even contentious concept within public life. This is also happening alongside a wave of women reclaiming and romanticizing their single life, where being single was once a cautionary tale, you'll end up a spinster with loads of cats. It is now becoming a desirable and coveted status, another nail in the coffin of a centuries-old heterosexual fairy tale that never really benefited women to begin with. I think that should be the biggest takeaway from Shantae Joseph's article. Date because you want a partner. Don't date because you feel like you need a a partner. Dating because you feel like you need to fill a void in your life, it's like going to the grocery store when you're hungry. You are not two halves of a whole in a relationship. A relationship should be two whole people building a life together, with each other and outside of each other. So yeah, be a lover girl, but not just for others. Be a lover girl for yourself. Damn, someone should stitch that on a pillow. I realize this video is just me yes-anding Shantae Joseph, but like, I think this was a great article. I'm definitely curious to hear what you guys have to say about this article, so please leave any and all your thoughts down below, especially if you're a straight woman, and also the bi and pan girlies could chime in too. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and if you made it this far, you have to dump your boyfriend. Sorry. I don't make the rules, I just enforce them. Don't forget to give this video a tiny thumbs up and subscribe down below. Thank you to my friends at ZocDoc for sponsoring today's video. And yeah, dump your boyfriend or I will.